and welcome to Beyond Reproach. This is Tux Lurzel.
This is Stephanie Domingo.
Who cannot do the...
I can't make a click sound.
I'm sorry.
Not yet.
You'll get there.
One day.
It's all about practice.
Yes.
Practice makes perfect.
I hate you. One day I'm going to get there, and it's going to be so strong it blows out the mics.
Yes. I can't wait.
It blows out the mics, and somehow there's candles in the room. Also blows them out. It's going to be that powerful.
Can't wait. Whew. So, we come to you from Bushwick, Brooklyn, where we record on land belonging to the Lenape Nation, a nation that is one of many still very much out here doing its thing, and we would like to acknowledge that.
Yes.
We be drinking and we be swearing. This is a Minisode. We just do what we want, because who's going to stop us?
Yeah.
You can't tell me what to do. You're not my real dad.
Exactly. Stan. Remember we were upstate, we were talking about how like kids are so aggressive when they say their like step parent's name.
Yeah. Ralph. Whatever, Jason. Hey, can you pass me the butter? Jason.
Yes, we were doing that, and it was so funny.
Yeah.
We had all the T's and all of the he's.
Yes. We were having ourselves a time.
So this this Minisode, I'm talking about daylight saving time. It just ended a few months ago, and I thought because we just had the winter solstice like a few weeks ago, this would be a perfect time to talk about the history of daylight saving time. It's not daylight savings, which is really hard for me not to say. It's daylight saving, singular.
That actually makes much more sense.
Right?
But
yes.
it does feel awkward to say.
It's very... I'm just going to say DST.
There we
because
go.
I keep messing it up.
It's the worst.
It is the worst. So there are a ton of myths around DST, this like maddening biannual tradition that we've just found ourselves in. A lot of people think that it started because of farmers. Like that's one of the things. That's not true at all.
I've always heard that.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That was what I...
Or that it had something to do with like lamp oil. Yeah.
Oh my God, hilarious that you brought that up. Yes. So the second myth is the lamp oil, and that comes from Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
So some people say that he is the originator of, or the inventor of DST. He is most certainly not.
It's much more recent than that, right? Like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He is credited as someone who was talking about the thoughts, the concept of daylight savings time, but he was one of many people around this time. So in 1784, he wrote this like satirical essay that was published in Paris, and he was like essentially saying like the Parisians are lazy and they should get up an hour earlier to save money on candles and lamp oil.
Okay.
So if they were up earlier in the day, they could go to bed earlier at night and they wouldn't have to use as much. Like their fuel costs would be lower.
You know what is that? Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Yes. I don't think he said that, but someone of that
Farmer's
era.
Almanac.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So he did say this, but it was kind of just, a lot of people were talking about this at the time of like how best to use daylight hours.
Okay.
I guess he added to the conversation.
They're not saying like we should change the clock. We should just get our asses up early.
Yeah. And he was it was very like cheeky of him to be like, haha, the Parisians, they're always in bed past noon. And it's like, number one, it's good for your health to sleep. So like leave them alone. But he was like, oh, if they get up earlier, they'll save money on fuel costs and they'll make money because they'll be like, doing stuff, capitalism. Oh, us, right?
Who doesn't love capitalism?
It's the through line. So historically, time has never been a standard thing. We've always shifted our schedule around the sun. Like that's as old as humans themselves.
Yeah.
Like we started with a sundial. We were on like solar time. People noticed that the sun circled differently because, I mean, if you believe that the Earth is round, it's not perfectly round, and neither is our orbit. So like we tilt. And the sun is lower at certain points during the year. This is why we have seasons, if you believe in...
But since the Earth is not actually round,
yes.
How do you explain this?
So there's a projector. So the Earth is actually a dome. You refuse to watch that Flat Earth documentary.
I'm not going to do it.
It's called Behind the Curve, and it's really good. I think it's really good.
I believe you,
No, but
also
it gives you the history of it
of idiocy.
No, these people they're actually scientifically curious, but they just have an idea in their mind.
Well,
of
that's
like
the thing.
what
You can't.
I know.
You can't decide what you're trying to prove, and then like if your experiments don't prove that, just like scrap it and try again. Because
which is what they did.
What's really happening is so much easier to explain with what everybody already believes. It's so
heartbreaking because during this documentary, they're running like an actual scientific test to prove that the Earth is flat, and it keeps showing that the Earth is curved. And they're just like, I don't know what went wrong.
Yeah, like, I do.
Yeah.
The Earth is curved.
But it's like they're so earnest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they would be easy to like, not easy to ridicule. I was just curious to know why people really strongly feel like the Earth is flat.
I mean, because it doesn't appear curved to the naked eye.
Yes.
But like, it's because it's big.
Yeah.
The end. End of story.
But these people are searching for something.
Yeah.
And they found community. Anyways,
I'm sorry to derail your story.
It's fine.
You set me up to derail.
I did. I totally did. Gotcha. So solar time has been this thing since, antiquity. Mm-hmm. What changed was that we standardized time with the advent of the railways.
Ah, I did not know that.
Yeah. So Britain was the first to do it, and then I think like other parts of Europe, but then it eventually came here. But I'm not going to talk about standardized time because that is its own scandal.
Is that like the time zones thing? Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yes. Time zones, which have shifted. And it's like...
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised. If you look at the time zone map...
wild.
It looks like it's been gerrymandered.
Oh, because it has.
Yeah, it's so
It has,
looking.
and it's just like, for the most arbitrary reasons, and I don't even want to get into this, because it's like...
Yeah,
it is maddening. Yeah. So...
I'd rather talk about the Earth being flat.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. So... This like shifting of time twice a year. Like, do you know who started like DST?
I do not.
Okay.
I thought it was old Benny Frank. B. Frank.
No, it wasn't B. Frank. The father of Franky Franklin. Died of embarrassment, you said.
You said that exactly at the moment that I just took a big old sip of whiskey, and it literally almost, if I hadn't covered my mouth physically with my hands, it would have gone directly into the microphone. Yes. Oh, Franky Franklin. That's so unfortunate.
It is. So yeah, it was a B. Frank. It was Canada of all places.
Canada.
Thanks, Justin Trudeau.
You good-looking bastard.
You beautiful hair-having, great conditioner using bastard. On July 1st, in 1908, the people of Ontario, they were the first to push their clocks forward by
1908.
Yeah.
That's so recent.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, "Oh, whale oil and farmers."
Nope.
1908.
1908. So it worked well for them, and then soon other cities in Canada decided to like follow their lead. But Germany and Austria were the first countries to do this, like for the whole entire country.
The country. Wow.
In 1916.
Okay.
They did this during World War I to conserve fuel.
Ah, okay.
And the rest of Europe that was fighting at the time, they followed suit. Mm-hmm. So the debate over like DST was already waging in the UK during this time. They had their own ideas for like how they should be moving their clocks, which I think is just so hilarious. So in the early 1900s, a famous London builder, he proposed advancing the clocks by 20 minutes each Sunday of April, and then turning them back 20 minutes each 4 Sundays in September.
Y'all, grow up. Some people have more than one clock in their house.
Thank you.
How are you going to
Could you imagine doing it 8 times?
Back when they didn't have smartphones and they didn't set themselves?
Could you imagine?
Are you kidding me?
I'm just bringing this up to show everyone that it could have been so much worse.
And like back then, especially, clocks are such delicate instruments that, like, especially if you had like a grandfather clock, that you have to have like a professional in to adjust things.
Oh wow, yeah.
That man was he was working for Big Clock.
He was working for Big Clock, you guys. He was trying to get everyone to break their clocks 8 times a year. So So I feel like this is a good time for a break. Everyone could just ponder how it could have been so much worse for us.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, everyone in UK was like, shut the hell up.
Literally.
Dude.
Jason.
Jason. I think his name is William. William.
Okay.
No such thing as a bad idea. There is.
BRB.
Well, hello there. Do you wish your high school history course had more drinking, more swearing, and more ladies?
Well, do we have the show for you? Herstory on the Rocks is a long-form podcast talking about good women, bad women, fictional women, and non-fictional women from all times and places.
Basically, each week we pair two women who we research with a themed signature cocktail.
You won't be sorry you listened to our latest episode.
Available everywhere you listen to podcasts.
Cheers!
Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
I just went and adjusted my clock for no reason.
20 minutes,
That's a euphemism.
too. Oh, sexy.
For what, I don't know, but yeah.
For something sexy, obviously. It's a euphemism for doing your taxes.
I was adjusting Justin Trudeau's clock.
Ooh, yes. And I was watching.
This is X-rated Minisode.
So the U.S., they didn't adopt daylight saving time until 1918. This was during the war.
Still during the war, yeah.
It was so unpopular.
The Great War.
The Great War, yes. Everyone hated it.
Yes.
Universally. Like, once the war ended, they're like, we're not doing this
Let's
shit
go
anymore.
back. Fuck this.
And it was a farming lobby that actually pushed for it to end.
To end?
To end.
That? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Because more than any other group, they're just like, we don't work with the clock. We've always worked with the sun. Like, a cow doesn't know that it's 3 o'clock versus 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't appreciate being milked an hour earlier. Like, none of this, it doesn't have to do with us. Like, Can we just go back? So we had it completely wrong.
It's especially, I don't know if you already have this. I don't mean to jump the gun if this is somewhere in your outline, but it's really especially bad for women, especially nursing women and women with children. Because
no, I didn't even know this.
It's really hard to get your infants on a schedule.
Different schedule.
And then if you're trying to like nurse a baby and you finally get them on a schedule, and then all of a sudden, today it's no longer 8 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock now.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about later about all of the health issues. It fucks up your sleep schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into this later.
It's really, really terrible.
It's terrible for our health.
Yeah.
But yeah, nursing women, of course.
Yeah.
A schedule is so hard to get for an infant. And once you have it, that didn't come up in my research because the internet doesn't care about women.
Facts are facts, America.
So it was the retail and the like recreational businesses like golf and like baseball. They were the ones who were kind of fighting to keep it.
Why?
Because that extra hour, it was good for retail.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So in 1942, FDR, he instituted a year-round daylight saving time.
Really?
Yes. He called it wartime.
In 1942. Mm-hmm. And then we 86'd it after the war.
It lasted 3 years, yes. We 86'd it after the war.
He's my man.
I know. So I'm like, this is why you love him.
Yeah, that's my opinion. That rather than getting rid of it, I want it to be year round. We'll talk about why.
Yeah.
In a shortly.
Yeah. In a shortly, we're going to talk about why. There was a lot of fluctuations that happened between 1945 and 1966. It was kind of up to cities what they wanted to do.
Certain state, is it Arizona doesn't do it?
Yeah. So Arizona and Hawaii don't do it.
Yeah.
And also Indiana didn't used to do it, but they started doing it in 2006.
What? I mean, I'm sure it's tough to be on the border.
Yes, that's their whole issue, is that it was confusing and it was like hurting their industries like tourism because people were getting confused.
Yeah. I've been on multiple like cross-country road trips with friends, and every time we drive through Arizona, I'm like, wait, what? Now that we have smartphones, it's easier because the phone automatically adjusts. But the first time, I think it was 2005, we went through Arizona, and I was like, why are our phones, why is the time not correct? I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. In 1966, this is when they standardized daylight saving. 66. Okay. There's an act that was passed called the Uniform Time Act, which just sounds like very futuristic.
They're like, we got to do the Voting Rights Act, we got to do the Civil Rights Act, and we got to get that DST.
Yes. So it was standardized in this way. It officially began at like 2 a.m. This is when that 2 a.m. shit started happening on the first Sunday of April, and it ended at 2 a.m. on the last Sunday of October. So states could still exempt themselves from this like uniform time act, but they had to do it as an entire state. They couldn't just do it as cities, which was happening before us. Like, that's chaotic. Cities, like, no.
Like New York,
you can't have your
Philly
own.
Doesn't.
Yeah, you can't have your own time. But they were doing this before 1966. It was just willy nilly. Some people were doing DST, others weren't. Could you imagine? Like, how did?
That's so wild,
right? This country is just the Wild West in so many respects. So historically, there's been a lot of fluctuations in DST, and they've all pushed the idea that they're doing it for energy conservation, like savings, lamp oil, candles.
Which, like, in fucking, like, 1966?
Thank you. There was never any data to suggest that, like, this was a real
Was
thing.
there any data, though?
There was no data or data to suggest that any energy was being conserved at all.
Yeah.
And even if there was, like, people were using AC in the 60s.
Sure.
So if anything, they were using more energy because...
Oh, because they're up with the sun.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're using more energy. And now there's so many more ways to consume energy. So this whole bonus hour, and people were driving a lot more because, like, the days were longer. Like, this was never an energy issue.
I never thought of the energy consumption of that extra hour. It never even occurred to me.
Yeah, but they were saying the reason for doing it is to conserve energy.
Sure,
and it's like,
which is
no,
garbage. Yeah,
that is the opposite of what's happening with this extra hour. So daylight saving, it continued to evolve, and now it starts the second Sunday of March and ends the first Sunday of November. So they've expanded it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they
from
change
April
it, like,
to March.
for shopping?
So
for holiday shopping?
They changed it for Halloween, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. They changed it because, do you remember in the 90s that, like, scare of razors and apples, and, like,
Totally
people are doing bad
hysteria.
things to kids in the dark.
Yeah.
They wanted the kids to have more daylight hours to go trick-or-treating. So it was moved, instead of the last Sunday in October, which was Halloween, they moved it to the first Sunday in November. So this is Big Candy, Big Sugar. Big Sugar did it. Big KitKat did it. Ew, KitKat. No, Big Reese's did it. The Mars Corporation did this to us. So the biggest lobby promoting daylight saving since 1915 is actually the Chamber of Commerce.
Promoting it. Of course, because more daylight hours for shopping.
For shopping, yeah. They said that people were more likely to shop on their way home if they had that extra hour of daylight. Yeah. So
that's legit. I hate when it's dark out when I'm on my way home from work.
Me too. So the earliest backers, like the biggest backer, was this man named Abraham Lincoln Filene of Filene's department stores.
Oh,
he was
Filene's basement.
Yeah, he was the driving force during World War I. He's like, we need to do this to save energy, but also to make me some money.
Was Filene's just a New York thing, or was it everywhere? I feel like nobody's going to know what Filene's basement. They're not going to get that reference.
I think it is very New York or New England.
Yeah, and either way, it doesn't matter. But it's a thing. They're not around anymore. But for whatever reason, I know what that reference of Filene's basement would be. Sort of like Nordstrom Rack.
Yeah. Or like just TJ Maxx, but like maybe a little elevated.
But there's Filene's, and then there's Filene's basement. And there's Nordstrom, and then there's Nordstrom Rack.
Yes. Other like proponents of DST were like the gardening industry.
Huh.
And also like just baseball, tennis, and golf.
Basically all capitalism.
Yeah,
essentially.
like rich people.
You can be out in your garden more if there's more hours of daylight.
So when Congress, they held hearings on extending DST in the mid-'80s, the 80s when all great things were happening, the golf industry, they said that they would have an extra $2 million in sales of golf clubs and green fees if it was just extended for a month.
Wow.
And the barbecue industry said they would make a extra 100 million.
Sure, of course, yeah.
So there's a growing movement now with states saying that they just want to spring ahead and stay there, like stay in eternal daylight savings time.
These are my people.
Yes.
This is how I feel. There's no reason to fall back. I want to spring forward and just stay there.
I'm fine with either. I just think we need to pick a time and stay there.
100% agree. I hate the one
back and forth
go
is
back and forth,
stupid.
back and forth, back and forth. But if we get to choose, give me some extra hours of daylight.
Yes.
Right? Like,
so between 2015 and 2019, 29 states introduced legislation to stop messing with the clocks and essentially to stay in DST.
all of them are saying spring forward and don't go back.
Stay the fuck there.
You know who's a huge proponent of this? Do you have this?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, Marco Rubio.
Your
bae.
Fucking, it makes my skin crawl.
I know.
To feel like I have something in common with this man.
Yeah.
But I am so glad that you brought up the whole capitalist, like more energy is spent on air conditioning and you would make more money, because that makes me like, at least we want it for different reasons.
Yes. Yes. You want it for radically different reasons.
I just want some extra daylight.
Yeah, same.
I don't want it so that the fucking air conditioner industry can make more money and the golf clubs can...
I just want to be less depressed.
Yeah. I love that it's daylight until like 8 p.m. in the summer. That's the best.
The only thing is that it's not great for our health to be perpetually in DST.
Daylight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's missing from a lot of the debates around DST in just how terrible it is to shift back and forth. Shifting back and forth is by far the worst option, because shifting leads to less sleep. And it can fuck up your sleep schedule for months.
Absolutely.
For months.
It does.
Yeah.
Especially for children.
Yes, for children.
Oh, and my dog, Betty.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the fucking worst when it changes and she's up an hour early and it's like, I have to get up for work at 8 a.m.
Of course.
But she's up at 7 because she's like, oh, it's time. The sun told me.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing with the farmers. They're like, a cow doesn't have a fucking clock.
Yeah.
Like,
the cow doesn't know that they have to wait an extra hour today because arbitrarily we said so.
Studies have shown that there are more car accidents. There are more strokes. There are more heart attacks following these time shifts.
Oh, because everybody's sleep schedule's fucked up.
Yeah.
And everybody's sleep deprived.
Deprived, and just like it pushes people who are sensitive like over the edge, going back and forth. Both ways.
Both ways. Okay.
Both ways.
I was going to ask if it happened more.
Both ways. Yeah.
One way than the
because
other.
Because it just fucks up your sleep.
Yeah.
And your sleep
that makes sense.
Controls everything. But the medical community, they don't support permanent daylight savings.
Oh, fuck them.
Because they say that it messes with our internal circadian rhythms, and it may lead to like higher rates of cancer.
Really?
Yeah. I like the sun, but then like when I was looking at all the scientists, and I'm just like, okay. But I think that
what do they know?
I think that we would adjust, but literally no one wants to do this except for scientists. They're like, it's going to be bad for our health.
I mean, this country already hates scientists. So
right? Yeah.
I'm against the scientists, too, in this one instance.
Okay, fair.
I mean...
You and everyone else.
But I do think that, like you just said, our bodies would eventually adjust.
Totally.
It would be a shock to our systems one way or the other, no matter which way we decided to go.
We need to choose a lane and just stay there.
Let's choose the lane where there's more daylight hours for like regular people.
Everyone fucking hates standard time. So it has shrunk. So in the beginning, during World War II, World War I, I'm sorry, it was a 50-50 split.
Okay.
Like they were changing it, I think, in July.
Oh.
Yeah, like really, really, I guess, kind of late. Mm-hmm. But now we only do permanent standard time.
Where we fall back.
When we fall back for 4 months. As opposed to being 6 months.
At this point...
So we're getting closer and closer to just getting rid of it.
Yeah. At this point, if it's only 4 months out of the year already, just get rid of it.
Right?
Yeah. Or just keep it.
Keep it. Yeah. Because it's like, no one likes it. We keep trying to eliminate permanent standard time and just expand daylight saving. And there's bipartisan support for this, which is just,
shocking. Can you imagine?
And 70% of people agree that 70%.
I mean, the fact that me and Marco Rubio are on the same page about something, I'll take it.
It's a terrible energy savings plan. And I guess it's bad for our health, according to scientists. What do they know about
They
science?
don't know shit about shit.
They don't know about feeling good.
They don't care about me
Yeah, they don't care that I want to be outside.
at the beach at 8 p.m.
Yeah, living my beach life. But it's also good for business. So it's
Yeah.
like, we should just fucking do it, you guys.
Yeah,
We should
let's do it.
So yeah, the end. It's coming. I think it's really coming. There's a lot of good momentum. But Marco Rubio's plan, it's in a committee. It hasn't made it out of committee yet.
It has been every year for like
I
the past
know.
8 years or
Yeah.
something. He's
But
gunning for it.
But now, there's
He has more support now. Yeah,
Definitely, more tthan ever.
I was actually thinking about doing this as a Minisode myself.
And I beat him to
She
it.
beat me to it. When she told me she was going to cover this topic, I was like, no.
Because you were going to wait to do it like when it made sense.
I was going to wait until we were springing back forward.
Yeah. And I'm just like, no, I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's time.
All right. Well, thank you so much for covering that topic that I wanted to cover. But you did a fantastic job with it.
Why, thank you.
Seriously, thank you for doing it.
And also, if you snooze, you lose. So
And I was on a different time schedule as you
you
were.
were. You were setting your clock ahead 20 minutes every week.
Oh my God. That
guy.
literally,
What?
like,
That's so absurd.
grandfather clocks are so sensitive. You cannot be doing this to these clocks
Every week.
every week.
20 minutes every
8
week.
times a year.
Yes.
Sir, calm down. William.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, my drank is thoroughly,
Yeah.
I could turn this shit upside down. Not even ice left in there. Thank you so much for listening to Beyond Reproach. This has been Tux Lurzel.
Stephanie Domingo.
Thank you to Tim Clough, our editor, sound engineer, and podfather. We could not do this without you. How would we find the time?
I just got that. Time.
All right, guys. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Beyond Reproach is proudly recorded in Bushwick, Brooklyn on land belonging to the Lenape Nation. Please note that we are not historians, we're just a couple of drunks who never shut up and love history. A full list of all source information can be found in the show notes on our website. Please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe, and remember that written reviews are especially important. If you like us, please do one of two things. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or send this episode to a friend, family member, or someone who you think would be into it. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and make sure you follow us on Instagram because we post our cocktail recipes the Thursday before each full episode. Please drink along with us if you are not driving. We also have a shop at beyondreproachpod.com. Get your merch, brand yourselves, and we have exclusive content on Patreon where you can directly support the production of our show.